Hey guys, welcome back again to another one of our awesome vendor voices. Today, I'm super excited to have someone on with us that I got a lot of history with. So this is not a first time for me. I've had a lot of opportunity through my career to spend some time with Michelle. And Michelle, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic, Chris. Thank you.
Good. Good to have you on today. For our clients that are wondering, oh no, where are we going now and what's going on? Many of you probably already know who Michelle is. You've seen her at shows and you've been to other industry events. She's been around for quite some time in our industry. But today while we're gonna talk a little bit about who you guys are and what you do over at Dynamic, Michelle, I just want to really quick, let's just back up for a minute. How'd you even get into the industry, by the way?
Oh, thank you for that question. I really like that question. So I married into the trades.
Okay.
My father-in-law taught me everything I know about the trades. But prior to being in the trades, I owned two restaurants, a hotel, a nightclub, and an event center. So the gross margin was vastly different than the trades.
Hang on, wait. Michelle, hang on, wait. I've known you for, oh gosh, 15 plus years, and I didn't know you owned a nightclub.
I sure did. Yes.
Wow.
Nightclub that
Interesting.
was open until 3 a.m. in Missouri, and there was not a lot of sleep pad, and yeah, all of that.
Oh gosh, man, lot of cool stories probably from your
Oh,
career that you've got of funny things that have happened and crazy things that have happened. Gosh, our time where you and I met in Sarasota at the time, I know that at that time, you and I both were working for a franchisor, and you worked on the sales team. So a lot of interaction there. So I'm really excited just to be able to catch up today. But more importantly, as we talk about the industry, I want everybody to pay attention. You heard Michelle saying, "Hey, I've owned one of these and these and these and these," and what I've learned is experience is one of the best teachers, meaning actually going and doing something, and you can extrapolate and learn from that. And so, Michelle, this kind of off topic, but what do you think have been some of the most valuable lessons that you've learned through owning multiple businesses and potentially multiple different industries, if you would? What do you think are some top valuable lessons that you learned that you then have kind of brought over to you with what you do today?
no, that's a great question. I think mostly from the restaurant business, you deal with a wide array of people, right? From servers to cooks to hosts. So learning those personality types and how these people need to be motivated versus these people, what these people value. So that definitely gross margin, right? Because food service has a very small gross margin. So that was interesting because it's different than hotels, different than nightclubs. It's just all been, like, to your point, experience, right? Taking the best of those things and deleting the worst and carrying those forward to the trades has been just invaluable to me. That's why, we can run successful trade organizations. We really can with just minor tweaks.
Right. And so, Michelle, I'm just kind of back up, I know you've got a sales background, so what do you feel like before we just jump in both feet? What do you feel like are some of the key things that you've learned from being in sales that you feel like would be of value to the listeners today?
Gosh, just in sales, probably my favorite thing is to ask questions. Ask whoever you're talking to questions. And you know the saying, God gave you one mouth and two ears, so you can listen twice as much as you talk. And in
Oh yeah.
sales, that's invaluable.
It's really funny, Michelle. A lot of times, when we start jumping into product with Dynamic today, I think a lot of times we find that people want to take the product and talk about all the features of it. It's this, it's this, it's this. And, sometimes you can end up down in this technical rabbit hole as a technician or as a salesperson, and the customer just has that. They're letting you do your process, right? So I love what you said there, which is asking questions. And, one of the things that I've always believed in life that the quality of your results that you get in life come from the quality of questions that you ask. It's like, so if we're, asking questions in a sales process, seeking, one of the, Covey concepts is seek first to understand before being understood, right? It's like that. I think salespeople forget that at times. They forget, like, we got this salesperson or technician, we get them all trained up and they're gung ho, they kick in the door, they're ready to run a service call, but they're so focused on their process, they forget, hey, by the way, the process is designed for the customer, right? With the customer in mind, customer centric focus. And so when you think about that, Michelle, let's kind of jump in a little bit. Dynamic indoor air quality solutions, you guys, tell me a little bit of what all you guys specialize in and who you guys are.
Sure. So Dynamic's been around since 1982. That's when our engineers
Time
came
out.
up with,
Don't mean to interrupt. That means they're almost as old as I am if I'm just going there.
yes,
All
they're
right.
totally
Okay. I had
going
to
there.
establish
And
that for all of our contractors. They've been around for a couple years.
yes, no, exactly. 1982, we started the air cleaner, patented the air cleaner, and been making it, manufacturing it since 1982. Our UV lights since 1992. So that's kind of cool. So we're not the new kids on the block. All we do is indoor air quality. We have 14 engineers on staff, and we just manufacture phenomenal products. But we really are a training organization.
Hang
So
on. Hang on. Time out. For everybody who just heard that, I'm a big fan of this. As an organization, service-based business, no matter what industry, if all you do is focus on product, you're a product pusher. And a product pusher usually has temporary results. A solution focused contractor really focuses on taking that product and providing the right training for that product to increase confidence and skill amongst our team members that are talking about it and recommending it to homeowners. So, Michelle, tell me a little bit about, I mean, you said that, and I don't want to get into the gadgets and widgets necessarily, but I'm going to want to for, practical purposes. I nerd out a little bit when it comes to technical, but tell me a little bit more when you say we focus ourselves as a training company. How do you mean you're a training company?
we're really a training organization. We have 14 territory managers in the field that report to 3 regional managers across the United States and Canada, because we don't forget about our Canadian friends. And
Yes.
then we have all of us that train call takers. We don't just train the technicians, we train the entire company because it's a program. It's a program. So we're just a little bit different, and our product is not in a distributor. We sell direct. So we're just a different organization, but we focus on training
Mm.
because you have to know about the product, but when and where to even bring it up.
Yeah, it goes back to what I just said. And speaking of Canadian friends, I'm gonna take a hard left for a minute. Guess who I was actually, and this comes kind of weird, but when I think of sales and I think of Canadians, I think of my favorite Canadian salesperson. I actually reconnected. I hadn't spent some time with him in some time, but I talked to Chris Arrington just the other day.
Oh, I love that guy. We're friends on LinkedIn. Yes, he's a great salesperson. So
Yes,
yeah.
yes, he is. Chris is a great salesperson and a great friend of mine. But when I think of how powerful it can be when a product has good training behind it, you can now actually make that product be a part of the culture of the organization because it's ingrained in everything that you do. So tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about that. So, like, what does training look like with Dynamic as far as what do you guys offer? What does it cost? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So our training, we like to say it's never ending, right? So as long as you're offering our products to your community, the contractor is, we train the technicians on site. We train the comfort advisors or salespeople on site, installers on site.
Mm.
And then John, we have another technical trainer that trains just on technical, and he does that live, like much like this. So he goes through all the technical so that when our territory managers are in the field, they can talk more about how to handle objections, when to properly bring up the product, not to be the pushy used car salesman, please. It has to be, every call, every time, a process, a program, a procedure, and we have all of that. And then Gabriella, Adrian, and myself, we train all of the call takers should the organization want that, so that they're planting seeds, or even lots of call takers sell the product over the phone before the tech even gets there. So it's just a whole program. And then our regional managers will train sometimes if a client wants training like once a quarter and they just need a different voice. And sometimes then Curry, myself, and Steve, when we're in the field, we will do the training in place of the territory manager again, just to get a different feel. Like I train, for example, on how to talk to the female in the home, because Chris, what I want to hear is completely different than what you want to hear. So it's just again, a different take, because a lot of times when the techs are going to the home, the husband may not be home. And so all they're getting is, me. And so they better be able to talk to me, and don't mention capacitor or contactor or my eyes will glaze over.
Yeah, when we start jumping into microwatts and all the technical specifications of the, let me just tell you a little bit about this bulb, right? Let me tell you how this, like, at the end of the day, what they're really looking for is how can I benefit from this product? And when I've said this before that uh, good salespeople good salespeople will sell off of features. Great salespeople will sell off of benefits, but world-class salespeople will sell off of a feeling. And it goes back to, at the end of the day, people aren't buying products, they're buying an end result that product gets them. And when we can do that and do it effectively, our customers, our homeowners, our end user can connect better with that, right? And the challenge, I'm a technician myself, licensed electrician, and been at this for 30 years. And I sometimes have to remind myself, people don't know what I know. So I have to be able to talk in terms that they understand. And so dynamics training is geared toward that, right? So you got the John McNutt, the technical, right? We're going to nerd out, we're going to talk numbers and how it works and the science behind it. But then when we're getting the other training, we're getting the how to actually make the product become a reality in the home.
Yes, that's exactly
Interesting.
it.
So,
Perfect.
and by the way, is there any cost to that training?
No, as long as you're offering our products, now we're not going to train you if you're going to sell a competitor's products, right?
Oh,
So, no, as long as you're buying our products, we'll train you all day long.
I mean, Michelle, that sounds like a pretty fair deal. Sell our products. We give you all the training that you need to be successful with our products. That sounds very complimentary. So for those that are in the HVAC industry, and remember for other industries as well, having that complementary training that goes with the product is going to make you more successful. So let's talk a little bit about the products. How do you feel like your products compare to, say, other industry products that are similar?
Well, to me, there's no comparison, right? But I've been offering these products for, to your point, 18 years. Uh, they're made differently, right? Because we manufacture them ourselves. So there's a couple differences there, but I will show you the bulbs because I am a visual person. So here is our bulb,
Oh,
right? And I don't know if you can see this, but it's like two bulbs smashed in half.
yeah.
And so for us here, right, we live in the state of Florida and it's hot and it's humid and our coils get a lot of growth and it's gross and it's disgusting. But that is a very high intensity bulb. So what it does is it inactivates germs, bacteria, and viruses. So see, when the little germ goes over the UV light, it renders it sterile so it can't produce and have any more COVID babies.
Mm-mm. No, we don't. We don't want anything multiplying in our system, that's for sure. And of course, maybe I'm a little bit of a selfless plug, but I do have this product in my home, and I am a big fan of the product as well. It does exactly what you guys talk about. So maybe let's back up. So how do you feel like, while we're on this topic, how do you feel like it affects the system? Is it, if I'm an HVAC company, am I selling this product for health and wellness, or am I selling it because I'm trying to improve the life of the system?
That's a great question, and we get that one all the time. And so again, everyone's different. So if you're talking to John McNutt, who's our technical trainer, he loves the products, both the air cleaner and the UV light, because they totally protect the system. So the air cleaner collects 97% of the particles smaller than a human hair, right? So that's really cool. For example, I have a 250-pound English Mastiff dog, and it looks like she's living in my air cleaner every time I change it. It's gross. However, I know that that's protecting the equipment, right? But it's also protecting my son. As you know, I have an autistic son, and he struggles with asthma and allergies. And so back when he was 7 years old, he was getting these violent nosebleeds. And Steve Moores, our president, said, Michelle, why don't you get an air cleaner and a UV light? And I was like, why? And he said, well, I just thought it might help Brexton with his allergies and his bloody noses. I was like, whatever. But I'm in the trade, so I didn't have anything to lose. So I installed the product, and within 1 week, his nosebleeds stopped. So you asked me a very personal question, Chris, and you may not know that you did, but you did, because it changed my son's quality of life.
Mm.
And for me, even though I've been in the trades for over, 25 years, 27, I guess now, that's what's most important, is how my son breathes and feels when he's in the home. However, it does help the coil and the blower to not have all that dirt, dust, and debris on it. But also the UV light, because of its strong intensity, helped my son with his weakened immune system not to get sick as often. So there are both benefits, and they're both important. But depending on who you talk to and the questions you ask, which one's more important?
So this goes back to what we talk about questions, right? It's like protecting the system versus providing a better quality of life inside the home. And I don't want to get all crazy, but I mean, we live in Florida and I love being outdoors. I'm an outdoor person, but the majority of my time is spent in my home. I work from home, and so I spend a lot of time in here. But you're going to get a chuckle out of this, but every time my system cycles on, I can smell that initial of and I'm like, it's still working. I know I got clean air, right? It smells like fresh squeezed air to me when it comes through that first initial wave when the system first kicks on. But well, let's talk a little bit about maybe like the product. So it's installing in new equipment.
Mhm.
So, Michelle, are you thinking like we should just this becomes a thing of what we do to be a part of our installs, or do you feel like this is something that we should leave up to our technicians to talk about?
And that's another fantastic question. It depends on the company, definitely. However, if you're asking me from a financial standpoint, it should absolutely be on both of the installs and the service and maintenance calls, and the call takers should offer it, and the installer should. I mean, it should be a whole program, as you and I have discussed. However, the most profitable companies that we do business with do it on both,
There
both
you
the
go.
installs and good, better, best. So on all of them, they have an air cleaner, because at least you're protecting the coil and the blower. And then, the UV lights, there's, two different UV lights. You mentioned the one where you smell that fresh air. And Chris, I can't stand the smell.
Love it.
So, men typically like it more so than women. So we do have a fix for that, right? If they install a current sensing relay, then you wouldn't smell it when it kicked on. So anyway, I just wanted to
Well,
mention that.
hang on. So, Michelle, there's so many products you have that I don't even know about now. I'm like, can we just take a little tour of the warehouse? I need to know everything that you have I don't have. Which, by the way, I will say this: the reason why it does smell that way is because I like it, and I know I don't want to get real weird here, but I know there's like a certain amount that quote could be dangerous to you, but I actually have mine turned up a little. Yep, that exactly. I've got mine turned up about 3/4 of the way, not full on. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have mine about here because I don't like that smell when it kicks on. So everyone's different, which is why we have that on here so people can adjust it. So yeah, that's a big deal
So
too.
super easy to install equipment. I can just speak from an installer perspective just for a moment. And that the dual bulb unit that you guys have, one's going in the return and one's going inside the unit. The
Yep.
great news is it's got an LED marker indicator on it, letting you know that
Yep.
the lamps are still good as the homeowner. So, I think you guys build it with the contractor in mind, but yeah, there we go. So now we've got both lights that are on. One's going to give me the bulb that's on the inside of the unit. The other one's going to go in the return. But you guys also sell ones that mount directly just into the return as well, right? So I don't
We
want to get into the whole catalog, but
these
Michelle,
are
is there anything you guys have that is an application that you just couldn't make work?
Oh, no, no, that's the whole reason for it. We've taken care of the northern market that have sheet metal, and then down here where we have flex and duckboard, and we have all the accessory items. and we really have each, just like the iPhone, when they come out with a new iPhone, we listen to our people in the field. And if they say we need a 8-foot cable, well, we give an 8-foot cable, right? If we need quick disconnects, we do that. So we really take and value our installers specifically, because we were trying to make it very easy, because it should be easy. For example, on this fixed mount here, we made these little screw holes attached to the light when we did the second run, because the guy said it would be easier if they were on there. So we were like, okay. So we put them on there. So we really do listen and take heed, right? We want to learn from the people in the field. So,
Yeah.
and we do the little pan treatments too, Chris, for the condensate line. And here in Florida, that's important.
Listen, I say that's important everywhere. Michelle, I'm gonna get on a little bit of I think they call it standing on a soapbox, and I'm not even really sure where standing on a soapbox came from, because I mean, I know what I weigh, and if I stood on a soapbox, number one, I don't think I would be much taller. Number two, I don't think it would hold my weight either. So maybe I need to research that when we hop off. I'll get off the soapbox now. But I will say this, and let me be very transparent. We have HVAC companies that service our home. And the last HVAC service company, the technician was clueless to the products that were installed in their home. So I think it's very key that technicians fully understand systems and how they work. Michelle, it's embarrassing. I said, hey, did you check the indoor air quality? He said, yep, sure did. I said, how was it? He said, everything's good. All right, great. A couple days later, I walk up. I happen to be working on something near my unit. I open up my electronic air cleaner. I look at that thing. Never even changed the filter, never even changed the media replacement, and didn't even ask me if I had one or anything. So he didn't even look at it. Michelle, the most basic thing in an HVAC system, the filter, didn't even get checked. And it was at that point where I recognized our industry is in need of experts.
100%.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so whose responsibility is that? I say that the responsibility has to lay heavily upon business owners. And so this is a call for every business owner to step up our level of expertise as it relates to products and services that homeowners have or potentially could have. And the great news is with Dynamic, you've got a partner here that's going to get you all the technical training that you need to be familiar with the products. Let's talk about
Absolutely.
customer service support. Do you guys have any kind of in the field service support as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So if a tech is on site and he, for example, has an install problem, he calls his territory manager. And if the territory manager is not available, literally, when we give them our dynamic team contact, you have all of our contacts.
Mm.
I, a lot of times, get technical calls, and I've never been a tech, right? And so I'm like, wait a minute, can you FaceTime me? And so then we FaceTime, and I'm like, okay, no, wait, it goes here, here, and here. And they're like, how do you know? I'm like, I had Johnny Park, right? So Johnny Park trained me, and it's a little scary, but we get it going, right?
Yeah.
So we're all here, we're all available. And I did want to mention, we do have, because of COVID, right? We have a whole online training website that has 111 training modules, Chris, that are very small, short, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 14 minutes. And then you answer some questions to make sure you understood what you just heard. Because some people, it takes me a couple times, sometimes, especially if it's real technical. But that's nice too, because if the owner doesn't want to train that day, they can just hit play on our training website and let us do the work.
Yeah, and I also happen to know this, Michelle, but you guys also have a certification program as well. Is that correct?
We do. We do. We have 2 certifications, so the technicians can get their name on the certification. And then when they take the certification, they win products. They get products for each certification. So true story. So the first one, if they do the certification, they get a video book. So if they don't really want to talk to the homeowner when they're doing the maintenance, they can just hand the video book over. And that's kind of nice because it talks about our product and talks about how it works. And then the second certification, they get the air cleaner demo right here with the little bag. So it's kind of nice because you can have, here's the video book. So here's what it looks like. It literally says, is the air in your home making you sick?
Hmm.
And then you open it up and it's got the professional videos. So that's cool. But I really like the air cleaner demo for the techs to take in because it's smaller than the big one, and they can go, yeah, and they can go through with the homeowner how to change the media, like your tech didn't.
Yeah.
But I also like the bag because it stays clean in the truck, and that's important because we've all seen the Tex trucks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we hope that we're changing the industry is what we hope. We hope that we're changing the stigmas that come with the industry. And the way that we do that is just through having good awareness and leveling up ourselves. And so, Michelle, what a fantastic time here. I mean, it's like, oh, I knew I was in for a good treat when I had you on my schedule and I looked at my appointment today and I was like, oh yeah, I'm on with Michelle today. And I was excited about that. But Michelle, thank you so much for all the valuable information, insights, and time. What's the best way for folks to get a hold of you if they needed anything at all? Let's just suppose that I don't use your products today.
Yeah. You call me, you call, you text, you email, so I can give you all of that. I don't know if you want me to email it or just rattle it off. Trust me.
Well, here's
Just
what
call.
we're going to do. I want to make sure everybody knows that inside of the vault, the blue collar vault, you're going to notice on the left hand side where you go down to Elite Buy, you're going to go to Elite Buy in the tab. From there, you're going to click on, scroll down into Dynamic. Those are in alphabetical order, or you can organize them by industry. So you can click on HVAC. It'll take you straight to Dynamic to be able to get all the contact information for Dynamic. Michelle's there along with her contact information. Michelle, any kind of final thoughts, words of wisdom, anything that you want to share before we move on to our fun part of this interview?
No, just that the last thing I will say is air is important, right? We have to have it to breathe.
Hmm.
And obviously since COVID, air awareness is heightened, and you really don't know because homes are tighter what could be harming your family or your animals. And so I just implore you to try it. It doesn't have to be ours, but I would just implore you to try some indoor air quality products that's actually in your ductwork and not just in your room, in your ductwork that you've paid for and had a professional install. Because for my family, it was life changing. And if I could impact one person's family like it impacted mine, to me, I've done my job.
Yeah, I echo that, Michelle. One of the things that I was a really big believer in, as a previous business owner, was to make sure that the products that we recommended to homeowners were in the homes of the people that were offering it. And, nothing says that I believe in the product when I can say something like this. And Michelle, all of these solutions that I'm recommending for you today, I actually have in my home as well. And so now, if I position myself as the expert and I can say, I have these same products in my house, what that says to the homeowner is, as the expert, if they're good enough for you, well, doggone it, they've got to be good enough for me.
Chris, I could not agree more. And our guys, when they're in the field, when they do a training, we do the exact same thing that you're saying. If that technician will get one of their homeowners happily involved with our indoor air quality product, we give them the product free for their home.
What? I mean, come on, really? What's the hook? What's the catch there, Michelle? It's you guys
It's
are just too gracious. You get all the
no,
training, and once you move the product, technicians can get one. And man, I mean, I'm just asking for those that are watching this video, what's holding you back at this point, right?
well, because Chris, I want them to be able to say exactly what you just said. Because if you came to my house as a tech and I said, "Well, Chris, what do you have in your home?" and you're like, "Oh, well, I don't have this. I can't afford it." I'd be like, "Well, then why do I want it?"
Exactly. Agree 1,000%. So, Michelle, thank you so much for your time. Please pass along a nice hello to everyone on your team. And this industry is so small that, I mean, gosh, I think that in passing, I'd be surprised if I didn't know 50 to 75% of your staff that you guys have as team members. So please share a moment of gratitude for having this time with you and sharing with the industry here about dynamic indoor air quality solutions. Well, Michelle, this will not conclude the interview of Vendor Voice, but what this will do is now move us into my favorite part. It's what we call the fun facts finale. And the fun facts finale is nothing more than a list of random questions that are intended to help our audience get to know you, Michelle. And I'm just going to come right out of the gate. What's the best prank you've ever pulled or been a part of?
Oh my gosh, this one's easy because it was at our former company,
Okay.
and I had just a coworker that drove me bonkers. And if you know him, his name's Jim Nichols. And
Jimmy
so
Nichols.
Oh gosh. So on April Fool's Day, which is by the way the day I got married, because I thought it was funny, right? Because if I wanted to say 10, 20 years down the road, just kidding, I could. But for Jim Nichols, because he drove me nuts and he sat next to me, I put scotch tape on the phone, right? So on both the top where you hear and the bottom where you talk. And perfectly, like I rubbed that thing down so that he didn't know. And so he was so angry most of the day because he couldn't understand why he couldn't hear anybody on the phone and they couldn't hear him. And so he would talk louder and louder. And finally, when he figured it out, he was so mad, because it was great. It was classic. I'll never forget it as long as I live. It was a great one.
Oh, that was great times in Suite 920 at 50 Plaza or 50 Central Avenue at the Plaza Five Points building. I was involved in several pranks in that office, and man, I remember just what a good time that was. Well, let's talk about this. If you had the opportunity to swap lives with any animal for what day, which one would it be?
Oh gosh. Any animal for what day? Well, I personally want to come back as one of my dogs because I think they live like princesses. So I think I would have to come back as my 250-pound English Mastiff because all she does is sleep and eat every day, and she swims in a pool and just lives the life. We wait on her hand and foot, and she's beautiful, she's majestic, and so I'd want to come back as one of my dogs. So I want to be crystal clear, not just anybody's dog.
My dog got to come back as I feel the same way about my dogs. I look at both of them all the time and I'm like, you're way past domesticated. You couldn't even live on your own in the wild.
Oh, they couldn't.
No,
Yeah.
they've got it. They've got a great life. Well, let me ask this. If you had to answer this question, is a Jeep a truck, a car, an SUV, or something else?
Like, which one do I like better?
Well, is a Jeep a car, a truck, or an SUV? What would you
Is a
bucket a
Jeep
Jeep?
a
And
car,
let me
a truck?
clarify. The
Okay.
real Jeep, the ones, with the four doors and the four-wheel drives and people take the tops off of them. And I know they got trucks now and this stuff, but let's stick to the old classic Jeep. Do you think it's a truck, a car, an SUV, or something else?
Oh gosh, yeah, I think it's something else. I think Jeeps are in like a class of their own
There
because
you go.
they just don't ride like a car. They're not a truck. They're not really an SUV. They are special. They are unique.
Okay. Speaking of that, what is the most unusual talent or hidden skill that you have?
Don't have one, for God's
Ah,
sake. I'm just the average Joe. I do not
okay.
have one. I really don't.
Okay.
I'm just a mom, and that's it.
Okay. So if you had to sing a duet with a famous singer, who would you choose?
Duet with a famous singer. Now I'd want to sing with Chris Tomlin, but that's because he's a Christian singer, and that's
Okay.
who I'd want to sing with. But it would be
Perfect. There you
awful,
go.
but
So
I
I'm
would do
gonna
it.
give you one last question. You ready? And this is it. If your life was a documentary, who would you choose to play your role?
Well, I'm going to say Reese Witherspoon. She's as cute as a button. I'm
There
going
you
for
there you go. You heard it. Fun facts finale with Michelle Hogan with Dynamic. Michelle, thank you so much for this time and all the great information we learned about Dynamic, about the industry, about nightclubs and hotels and restaurants. And man, we have just really run the gamut today here on this Vendor Voice. And for those that are watching, remember, you can always find all more information about your vendors located in the blue collar vault on the left hand side. Go to Elite Buy. You'll find all your amazing vendor partners there. And remember, membership does have its privileges. And so as you find that vendor, you're going to find what those special privileges are for you as a blue collar member. Make sure they know that you are a part of the blue collar success group. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys in the next Vendor Voice.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you for watching this video and subscribing. Do us a favor, comment below and tell us what your thoughts are and what your takeaways are. Remember, you're either winning or you're learning.